Whenever you are ready, my friend.
Alrighty. 10,527 people die a year in handgun-related incidents in the United States. These are not fabricated numbers. This number by far outweighs gun-related deaths in countries such as Sweden, Great Britain, and Japan, which number 13, 22, and 87 respectively. What is the reason for such drastic differences? The latter mentioned countries have stricter gun control laws and they require bear arms safety courses. These laws have a direct relationship to the number of gun deaths which occur each year from country to country. Perhaps if the U.S. would adopt some of these laws, the number of deaths would drop accordingly. John Winthrop addressed such a dilemma almost 350 years ago in his speech to the General Court in 1645. Winthrop's two main problems were where do the rights of people stop and the government's authority begin. According to Winthrop, people are naturally evil, and left to their own devices, they will become even worse. Therefore, authority is necessary. It would be hypocrisy if we don't listen to his words of wisdom. This same principle holds true for gun control. People here in the U.S. have the right to bear arms, but with right comes responsibility. As an American, with that right, you're not free to shoot anyone at will at any point. A government rightly dubious should create laws to protect the rights of others. Stricter gun control laws and better education on the use of guns is necessary. People of the U.S. aren't as rigidly regulated by gun laws compared to our European neighbors. In the United States, it takes anywhere from a few days to a couple of weeks to get a permit to carry a handgun. However, in most crimes committed with a handgun, the gun isn't even licensed. More authority is necessary to control illegal handling of guns. In England, guns which are permitted for hunting are required to be signed out, purpose of use stated, and the type of gun logged. A person requesting a permit should first be educated on the proper use, cleaning, and handling of a firearm. This would help to avoid any accidental shootings from occurring. They should be made aware of all the laws regarding the handling of firearms. To some, this may seem severe, but as I stated earlier, these stricter laws do affect the difference between the U.S. and Europe in the amount of handgun-related deaths. In these controversial issues about gun control, the United States should have stricter laws pertaining guns. If a criminal was convicted for a gun-related crime, he should be unable to purchase a gun. For the average human being, if one wants to purchase a gun, you should have a complete background check, take a course, and pass it to show you are capable of using such dangerous equipment. Just as Winthrop struggled with the conflict between people's rights and the authorities appending on their own, we today have those same struggles. The right to bear arms and the responsibility that go with these rights is just one of the many struggles we face as citizens today.
2 minutes, 43 seconds. Con introduction.
Guns are a part of America. They are connected to our history. From the Revolutionary soldiers in the 18th century to the cowboys in the West, to the explorers on the Alaskan frontier, to your local gun range, and to spending quality time hunting with your grandfather. There is no denying that guns are a part of our society, ingrained by it, molded by it. However, guns are designed specifically for one intent: to kill. Muggings, robbery, fabricated blind threats, gang violence, murder, and terrorism. These are all potential byproducts of gun use. Guns can do a lot. Our founding fathers understood this. That's why they, with the help of a few inexperienced yet hopeful soldiers, were able to overthrow the most powerful army in the entire world. That's why we, as a developing nation, were able to defend ourselves from the dangers of the New World. That's why the people of this great nation still have an upper hand over our dubious and controversial government. That is why a single mother in the projects of Chicago can defend herself and her household from the potential dangers of her community. That is why we are the greatest and freest country on earth. Our founding fathers knew what guns were. They were tools, and they still are. Our Constitution is a document for the people, and altering it could possibly damage our power. Wanting to protect our society by prohibiting the most effective means of defense is a form of hypocrisy that needs to be realized. No amount of legislature is going to stop the bad man from breaking into your household while your daughter sleeps. We should not go against our Constitution and what our country was built on. We should not give the man more power over us. We should realize that no amount of legislature is going to stop committed outcasts from getting the weapons they want. Further gun regulations in this day and age will not be beneficial to this country.
1 minute, 55 seconds. Point 1, Pro.
Violence has always been a part of our society due to the freedoms acquired with it. However, it has an abrupt increase in younger adults. Due to recent events and lack of security in schools and public spots, we constantly feel fear that our life will be altered at the hands of a gun. It is the constant hypocrisy that is forming these massive destructions. Source B states that incident at Columbine, Colorado on April 20th, 1999, following a number of other shootings in schools and workplaces, has led to an increase in the number of people calling for strict gun control legislation. The shooters were 18-year-old students who had access to guns. Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold were very troubled teenagers, but no one expected them to murder 13 people and injure more than 20 people because they looked just like everyday people. But if you have access to weapons, you have the control to do anything. For example, if you come from a hunting family and get your license to shoot at a young age, that thrill and access may go too far. Another destructional event in 2012 was the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. Adam Lanza, a 20-year-old troubled man with Asperger's syndrome, had murdered his mother, 20 children, and 6 teachers that day. Yet, following both these catastrophic events, all the shooters have committed suicide and threat. Schools should be more cautious and install more security to prevent events like these from occurring again in the future.
Domestic terrorism is unfortunately present throughout the U.S. Many of these shootings could have been prevented had the U.S. had stricter gun control laws. Just within the past year, several acts of domestic terrorism have occurred, including the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history at Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida. Back in 2012, James Holmes opened fire in a Colorado movie theater, taking 12 lives. In 2015, Dylan Roof killed 9 people, all African American, inside a Charleston church. Roof had told a friend about his clandestine plan, however, he was not stopped. All these examples involved 1 or 2 people using automatic weapons and lots of ammunition. With stricter gun control laws, the ability of so few to kill so many would be greatly diminished. With stricter gun control laws, background checks would be enforced and make gun accessibility harder in order to maintain a safe national society.
2 minutes. Rebuttal.
These individuals that were mentioned, such as Adam Lanza and the Columbine shooters, they got their guns through straw purchase, which is basically you're just going to some random dude and being like, hey, can I buy a gun off you? Who's not licensed or anything like that. You can't regulate that. Those people got their guns completely legal. They were reputable, they had good backgrounds, and they just sold to some kids. You can't regulate that. And with Adam Lanza, he got them from his mom. His mom was completely sane. Are we gonna regulate sane people from having some form of protection because their son or daughter may be mentally ill? Because I think that's ruling out a lot of people who may have their lives in danger because of that.
Also, you mentioned that the only way to avoid these tragedies is with more security. How do you plan on securing them? With knives? Guns are the obvious answer to this. You know, if we arm all of our citizens, we fight fire with fire. It works every time.
Okay, 1 minute. Point 1. Con.
Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. A direct quote from the Declaration of Independence. Everything our nation stands for is built off this very principle. According to Document 5, we are born with the rights of free speech, press, assembly, and the right to bear arms, as well as many more to ensure the absence of the tyranny that was experienced under British colonial rules. Each of these principles are equally as important to the preservation of freedom in America. If any one of these rights were taken away, it would jeopardize all of the others. As stated in Document 2, the Founding Fathers believed this right to bear arms was very important, especially if our enlightened ideals were threatened. Slander contradicting this claim is spurious and poses a threat to our freedom and national security. Terminating an amendment can set the stage for a very unwanted chain reaction and should not be implemented.
1 minute, 14 seconds. Rebuttal.
Okay, well, there have been a lot of changes to the Constitution since its original creation. Like, we don't have slavery anymore. I mean, originally women couldn't vote or anything like that. So clearly, changes have to be made as the times change. And I mean, originally the number of guns and types of guns, there were only like a few, and they couldn't do nearly the damage that they could now. I mean, it took like 2 minutes to load a musket, whereas now you can unload like 60 rounds in a second. So clearly, our legislation is lagging behind technology's advancement, and we really just need to account for that to make things more safe.
It also said in the Declaration of Independence that prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, which means that just having guns, just because you think you're in a place of like suppression by a government doesn't mean you just change it. It means it has to be significant enough and substantial enough that the random hither dither, you can't go and shoot a cop because he's a representative of the government as a law-abiding citizen.
Okay, 1 minute. Point 2.